What even is the point in getting on the ballot anyway in America in one state? I mean, what is the basis of it? If you're in California, right, and you have to petition as an independent to get on the ballot, what is the point? I mean, what is the point to it? If you get on the ballot in California for the President of the United States of America election, then what's the point? Because even if everyone in that state voted for you, every single person, what would it amount to? Because there's not enough parties or candidates in the other counties to split, even if everyone split their votes, right? The vote can only be, either everyone in America can vote for Republican, right? If everyone in every state, if the whole of the United States, right, voted Republican, except everyone in California who voted for an independent, then they're not going to get elected. And if everyone voted for Democrats, the same. Even if they split 50-50, then they're still not going to get elected. Now, there aren't enough candidates, independent people in it to split the vote down enough. If there were 10, I mean, there are 50 states, right? Let's even say, right, there were 50 parties, main parties, or 50 candidates. Then, right, if everyone in California voted for an independent and on the ballot, and if the other states all voted sort of mixed between 50 different persons or parties, there would be a chance. But the current model, I mean, you've got to try and get on the ballot in as many states as you can. It doesn't seem, there doesn't seem a point to it, to that model. I mean, what is the point to that model? Oh, well, we'll try getting a few more. And then, if we get on in 5, 10, 15, 20 states, we might have a chance then. But the basis is that you can get on in one state. But what is the point though? It's almost like, putting in, in arcade games, 50p to play it, it's put 10p in. Why would you put 10p in if it costs 50p for a game and you can't even play? It's all, in a way, if you think about it, in England, when they say you've got to get 100,000 petition signatures in 6 months, it works out to 1 a minute, which you couldn't actually. 1 a minute is extremely difficult. The postman would have trouble doing 1 a minute anyway. On paper, there is no time limit in law. On the website, they give it 6 months. But it's actually quite difficult to get 100,000. The amount of sharing that goes on in groups, like really big groups and so forth, has to at some point overtake 1 a minute. So you're getting bombed in certain groups that have got loads of signatures. It's only technology makes it possible online, right? Otherwise, statistically, the odds are against you even being able to do it. You are unlikely to succeed doing it if one person is doing it. Other people need to join in. It's kind of that sort of attitude. The original First Amendment, the original Constitution process. You're put on the ballot by the people. They put you on themselves by writing it down. They do all the work, right? You're on there when they want to put you on there, right? All you have to do is raise awareness. They're the ones who put you on there because it's by petition. And you they put two names down, the home and away vote, right? The home vote, there's automatically going to be someone on from that state, right? What happens, right? Can you imagine, theoretically, in the current model, right? This is what I find ridiculous. There's 50 states. There's 50 states. And there are only these two really major parties putting people forward. And if you're not from them parties, if you're independent, it's very hard to get on. Or a minor party like the Greens or the Liberals. They've got the Greens and they've got the Liberals, right? And then they've got some counties have got some states have got independents. Can you imagine if something happened and well, it's the same person though, isn't it? That's the thing. Camilla or Trump is going to be the candidate for that party, but in every state. It's a little. It's like when they had a home vote and an away vote. Well, you know, they're all kind of like away votes for most people. But so you can't have a situation where, you know, I was going to say what happens if, you know, something happens to the candidate or they're ill, right? And they can't go. Well, you know, this is the thing. Biden's kind of like stepped down because he's too ill. If something did happen to Trump and Harris, right, who's left? Because if something happened to Trump and something happened to Harris, and they're the ones that those parties put forward, they're not. It's not like, oh, you know, there isn't going to be any candidates. Can you imagine, right? If there were no candidates at all, or something happened to the polling station, or God knows what, right? For some reason. If there was some reason, any reason, like what could potentially happen, right, where no one in California ended up voting or something, I don't know whether the votes are lost or incident, accident, God knows what, right, then it wouldn't really matter too much because all of the other 49 states are still voting, right? So it wouldn't matter if no one voted at all in California, really, right? But if Harris and Trump, something happened to those persons, right, then none of the states could vote. None of them. Because, let's say, for example, the liberal libertarians didn't stand, or the Greens, right? And they've been trying to knock the Greens off the ballot. Let's say there's only Trump and Harris, right? But what happens if something did happen to Trump and Harris? Right? Then who are you going to vote for? Because, you know, there is no one else. So there wouldn't actually be an election. You can't have an election that only depends on two persons in the entire United States of America. I mean, on the original Constitution model, I mean, you know, even if there was some tragedy within a state, right? If there was some national incident in California, I don't know, polling stations or some wildfire or God knows what, right? And for whatever reason, you know, whether it was, you know, a tornado or God knows what, right? No one in California could vote, right? Then the thing is that, or they couldn't vote for anyone within California. Let's say there was some sort of pandemic outbreak. Okay, we'll use that pandemic model. Say if there's some sort of disease or pandemic and let's say loads of people died within California, right, or all the people that were wanting to stand. The thing is, firstly, they've always also got the other name they can write down, which is not from California. So all the people from California, if there was some major outbreak or health incident when no one could stand within their state, right, but the people still managed to be able to somehow vote, they could vote still for someone. They can still write down the names of all the people out of the state, right? So they would only lose their own nominees from their own state, right? But if, this is the thing, you know, so what happens if all the people in California, right, I mean, you know, this is just hypothetical, if all the people in California, right, died of some strange lab spill, right, for example, let's use a Rand Paul model, right, and they couldn't vote or have any candidates, then it wouldn't really too much impact the rest of the voting for president, because everyone else in America can write down who they want, right? This is the thing. It's a hell of a not only a burden, but it's a hell of a, to say that there are only two people in the entire United States of all America, one of the supposedly greatest nations on the planet, the land of hope and glory, the American dream. There are only two men primarily fit and able persons, out of all, quarterback punk, Angelo quarterback punk, a skin of chicken for breakfast or whatever, I take the skin off my chicken or whatever, FBI, I am an FBI agent, Utah, I'm an FBI agent, I'm an FBI agent, affirmative, sir, yes, sir, no, sir, my full, sir, you're telling me that, right, out of an entire nation of the land of hope and glory, the United States of America, right, there are only two persons currently qualifiable and fit to be nominated or put forward as the president of America. Bollock, right? This is dumb. Oh no, we've got to unite us, not divide us. Well, you ain't going to be uniting no one if there's some incident pandemic. Oh, we've got backup candidates. You got backup people. Oh, now they're calling for Marianne Williamson to throw the hat in the ring or whatever. They've got backup people, but what are these backup people? Where are they coming from? All these parties have put them forward. No one puts anyone forward. I mean, other than the people say who they want. This is the thing. I mean, all this, security. Like Robert Kennedy Jr. was supposedly, having to spend loads of money on his security and so forth. The thing is, right, if it was the original model, right, even if everyone was going to write down Trump or everyone was going to write down Harris, right, on their thing, if there was some health incident or pandemic incident anyway, like 3 days before, then it's not really a major problem, because anyone can just, write down, someone else. They can write down absolutely anyone, and why does it have to be from one party or other? Why does it have to be Marianne Williamson or Robert Kennedy Jr. or whoever? It's an extremely, it's almost kind of like primary school, put the shape in the box, or kind of like, ABC, Sesame Street. It's so fundamentally simple that it probably would, it takes a simpleton to vote, because there's not much up to do, like put a cross in box 1 or box 2. It's so it regards the public, really as not able to think for themselves or make their own decisions. It comes down to 2 boxes. It doesn't seem, it's preposterous to imagine that they've got the entire nation believing that the only choice for the leadership of the United States of America, the land of hope and glory, 50 stars. It's a kind of insulting to the 50 stars, even, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, the 50 stars of the states, you're not even having a representative from every state in this election, fairly competing through the people, through, when you write something down, it's meant to be like, it's a line, it's like a line, a word, writing, and if you write down 2 names, it's almost like the red stripe and the blue stripe on the flag, coming from all of the states. And the stars are almost like, the representatives from the state, Now, there are only 2. It can only be one of 2. And it does seem rather preposterous. All these supposedly young, smart, bright, talented people that, they're always praising, Mr. Beast, Jack Black, Tucker Carlson, these people, all these, George Clooney, all these successful, Steven Spielberg, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Governor Schwarzenegger, all these successful persons, but yet there can only be two in the end. It's like the Highlander, isn't it? In the end, there can only be one. It's just ridiculous. It's such an opportunity for creativity, fair, open, healthy competition. Isn't that what David Cameron was championing? Oh, we want to encourage competitiveness. Yes, Oxford and Cambridge, competitiveness. We want to open market. We'll sell off Royal Mail, sell off the electricity companies, a bit of competition. But Kamala Harris is like, oh, no, let's have America united, not divided, united, all this under me. Come together right now, under me, under Kamala Harris, we can be united, Well, I thought you wanted a healthy competition, Why don't you unite all of Nancy Pelosi's companies that she's invested in? So there's only one. Have them all united. Hey, Nancy, why don't we have a united America like what Kamala Harris wants? Hey, why don't all those companies just, all have a merger together into one company called Megacorp? Oh, no, we can't do that. They'll have to pay a fortune on taxes, because then we can't have, all our companies divided up, to split up the taxes into separate companies, No, they'll have to pay a fortune to tax. Well, wouldn't that suit Rand Paul, wouldn't it? Rand Paul's trying to get all the, the deficit paid off. Rand Paul's trying to get all the debt paid off. That would suit Rand Paul. If they were all united together in Megacorp, then they could charge Megacorp mega tax. Maybe Rand Paul could solve all his tax problems then out of Nancy Pelosi's stock market exchange affairs, But apparently, we all have to unite together under Kamala Harris. We can't have a fair, healthy, competitive market. But Nancy Pelosi doesn't want them all united in the stock market into Megacorp. She wants them all separate so they can all compete and we can buy and sell and swap stocks and shares around left, right and centre. Isn't that like a fair, healthy competition for the President of the United States of America? A bit of invoke people's imaginations, creativity. I'll think of an interesting nominee, This is the thing, Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan could be the nominee. There's a bit of creativity for you. But apparently that's... they're viciously fighting to get people off the ballot. When one party has filed about 10 lawsuits in one contest, particularly targeted at their opponents, just a minute, this person is repeatedly filing lawsuits again and again and again at the same entity. Oh, look, it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. They filed 10 lawsuits at him, but just one in each county. This is a bit unusual. Isn't this the jeopardy of law? And what are these lawsuits regarding? What is the matter of concern? The election for the United States of America president. Oh, that's funny. There's the facts and circumstances that are associated together if I ever saw one. 20 people robbed a bank. It's like Point Break, isn't it? There's been a series of robberies in a bank, the ex-presidents, we think these robberies are connected together and they might be performed by the same people. We track them down, yes, and now we've got them. They robbed banks in 50 states and now they're going to face trial at the Supreme Court. Yes, now we're going to take them for trial in 50 different states separately, it's like the Democrats prosecute their opponents to finance their endless term in office. That's it in it. The Democrats, they prosecute their opponents to finance their endless term in office for eternity or something. You know, the whole thing doesn't seem right to me. It just seems ridiculous, you know, that this knocking people. You can't knock someone off. You can just kind of like be more appealing to the public. And what is the word appeal? You have to appeal, you know, make an appeal. You know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. certainly needs to make an appeal to that lawsuit, you know, all of them, you know. You would have thought also that if they'd have pulled him on a certain intricacy in a certain thing, that if it had proved that, you know, that's valid, then if they prosecuted him in another state on the same point, then surely you would already have proved that, you know, like Jill Stein with those forms, like, you know, they ended up somehow getting them with the wrong forms, saying that they were wrong type of form. If that was proved in a court that they were still valid, even though they're the wrong type of form, but because they got the correct information on and they were filed in time and everything else, then surely in the same competition for the same position, that you prove that those forms are valid. But yeah, it seems we've got different. You know, I mean, it's in that competition they've been proved valid. So how can you have further legal challenges in other states? That's jeopardy of law. I mean, there is a law in England whereas, you know, there's different jurisdictions, and if a crime's committed, you know, between two places, I think you can become. You should really be prosecuted in one or the other, but both. That's kind of what happens to me. But I was in parliamentary jurisdiction, really, for the whole nation, so it doesn't matter which county it's in. But they sort of did that to me, in a way, really, when they're not supposed to do, because of jeopardy of law. Because the thing is, right, the thing is that if someone robs a bank in, like, you know, one county and then robs another bank in another county, even if they can be prosecuted twice, once in each county for each robbery, right? The thing is that if you were doing a campaign under the jurisdiction of Parliament, you got the jurisdiction of the whole country for those matters and purposes. So it's not even in the jurisdiction of those courts anyway, and it definitely is for the same purpose. The thing with the presidential run is from state to state to state to state to state. It's one competition, the White House, and it's meant to be. It's the same facts and circumstances together. It's not like, you know, it's not like something completely different. I mean, if like it's like, you know, if someone's running for governor of California and someone's running for the governor of Florida or whatever, they are two completely separate elections, right, in two separate states. The thing with the American election is that it's the same competition. It's not a separate competition, really. It's the same one. You know? So, how you cannot possibly have different rules in different states for the same competition, because it's not it isn't fair, is it? It's not. What was the word that I used in another video? It's not. It's discriminative. That's the word. It's highly discriminative, because if you can have different rules in different states, right, for the President of the United States of America, if you can have different entry rules, where is the rule? They've got a rule that, you know, you've got to be from the state or whatever, or, you know, you've got to be born in the United States of America. But if they're allowed to make it, what they're saying is they're saying that different states can have different rules. That's what they're saying. They're saying that different states can have different rules and regulations. Well, what if one state says that men can't enter? Or what if one state says that women can't, and oh no, you can't have that, it's discrimination, it's discriminative. Well, what point is it not discriminative? You're telling me that in one state that someone only has to collect, 100,000 ballots, or in another they only have to collect 10,000, or in another whatever. Okay, if those numbers are actually have some relationship to how many people live in each state, and they're actually on a standard percentage, like if there are like 1 million citizens in one state, and you need to collect 5% to get on the ballot, then in another state like Florida, if theirs is equally 5%, but it's only a different number based on the 5% is a different percentage, right? That's fair enough. But these rules, they've got like, on some of them, I don't think you have to collect any signatures, you just pay money. And then in another state, you can't pay money, you've got to collect signatures. And they don't seem to be any percentage, any proportional comparison in any model of, it works out that it's an equivalent fair. So that, surely it is discrimination. It is actually discrimination. I mean, it's nearly as bad as the Conservative Party in England, with the private schools, and unfair education. It's almost kind of like, playing someone at conkers and saying that, the Tories, it's almost like, would you play David Cameron at conkers if he said that the rules of the game are that, Jeremy Corbyn is only allowed to soak his conker in varnish for like 2 minutes, but Cameron can soak his conker in varnish for like 3 days and put multiple layers on it and then dunk it in super glue. Who's going to win? It's like rigged. It surely is the most undemocratic and the most discriminative process for what's meant to be the one and the same competition. You might as well say that in Texas, you're allowed to enter if you're Mexican or something like that. It really does, and the fact that no one's called this out or pulled them on it, and I think they have been calling it out, that's the thing. I think they have been pulling them on it. I think they have been calling them out on it, but then you get these ridiculous court cases like Trisha Thompson or whatever, or this other judge. The judges are rigged. And, from what I've seen with this Trisha Thompson in California and this other New York lawyer who did the Kennedy case, without any prejudice, completely on observations, as the case may be, it seems like they're just going to getting Kamala Harris into this presidential position seems to me very much like, what you're going to end up with when you've got this Trisha Thompson in or this other judge in New York. I'm not saying that there aren't other judges available, but they were the judges that judged these cases in these matters, and also actually, YouTube was not the presidential thing, but I suppose it is related to it because you need to go on YouTube to be able to make yourself known and have the right to go on there. It's how has it ended up like this? I think the reason it's ended up like that is a very, very different idea in these states of what people think is just and fair, but it's meant to be the same competition. It's meant to be like the gold standard, It's meant to be like when they've got, the trading, when they have this gold standard of currency. It's how can it cost? How can you charge? I mean, and then all this money involved, like deposits down and so forth for London Mayor and this and that. There wouldn't be all that money deposits and this so forth if it was literally, the people turned up and wrote down who they wanted, depending on who'd made themselves appealed to the public, who had appealed to them. It's all like public appeal, isn't it? And then what you do then with this public appeal basis is that you realise how valuable the television and radio resources are, and why they started off with very stringent and controlled regulations around appearing on them and what you can and can't say on them. Because they're very, very powerful tools that give one party or one person an extreme advantage or disadvantage by what other people are saying about them on there and discussing, and why they weren't allowed to talk about. You can talk about politics, but you can't talk about candidates in an election or who to vote for or who not to vote for or advocate it unless it's on a main channel with a fair environment and they're doing it what they call within these rules of impartiality and so forth, which seem to have been cast to the wind now, with Farage and S for McVeigh and, Rees-Mogg and Lee Anderson, in England at least, these people who have been put in the limelight or whatever, and then they're claiming that, it doesn't relate to their electability, it doesn't relate to their popularity, that their electability or their electoral success is not related to their popularity or their celebritism. Yeah, right, honestly. Of course it does. So, this entire model of, I really think they got confused when it says that, in the first constitution, it says that these are the rules and the laws differ from state to state because the main rules make the laws different in each state, because they made them that, Florida, there is a rule. One person has to be from Florida, the other doesn't. In California, there is a different rule. One person has to be from California, the other person cannot be from California. And in Texas, one person has to be from Texas, the other person cannot be from Texas. Hey, look, each state has got a different law and rule. Unbelievable. Where did that come from? Well, the Constitution. Constitution, that's where the rules are. Those are what the difference of the rules, and checking integrity of documents and correctness is a no-brainer. If they're not correct and in order, then how can they be? That's just without it's self-explanatory. It's ridiculous, though. That is the thing that this Democrat Party are pulling them all on. But they've already got people in place. Why has the president and the vice president, why have they appointed persons, officials, to check the documents if they're not going to accept whether those officials say they're valid or not? What's the point of appointing those officials? They've appointed official. The word is official. They're an official. And when they make a decision, it's official, right? That's their job. That's their role. That's their purpose. It's like a police officer. If someone hasn't committed an offence, why is a police officer enforcing the law? It's official. They've charged you. Well, have I officially been charged? Yes, you're officially being charged. Too bad. The Democrat Party are going to come in and, challenge that. Unlikely, not for you, Scrot, but if they arrest Trump, then they might be interested. This is the thing. How official do you need an official to be? It's the official of the official checking, But these officials aren't official enough for them. Why not having any officials? And then, why not just get the judge to check them? Why don't they appoint Tricia Thompson as the checker of the ballots, and then she can check them, and then, if Tricia says that they're not valid, then they're not, it's, why pay an official to officially be officially appointed with an official position and then them to be officially checked when, apparently they haven't, it's not official anymore because, until, Tricia L. Thompson decides that they're official, it's it would have been official if he'd have been in Florida, but to the standards of California, it's not official enough. It's almost like these dodgy referees in these football matches. When there's a blatant foul, but they don't call it or whatever, or the other way around. You've got to accept the referee's decision in a football match. I think they sometimes have two referees, don't they? But I think that's it. It's tough, isn't it? I mean, I think in football, if someone fouls someone and the referee, he don't call it and he lets it play on, I think that's it. I think that I'm pretty sure that if referee sends someone off, blows the whistle, gives them a red card, that's it. I mean, these football teams are on how much money are these players on the football teams? They've got to be on like £300,000 or more, or Beckham or whatever. Surely those managers want their team to win the Championship Cup. Why aren't they taking the referees to court? I don't really hear much in the newspapers about referees. I hear about football stars, Beckham, David Seaman and so forth. Why aren't there these referees on the front page of, the newspapers all the time? Gaza sues ref for false foul call in World Cup. Maradona handball. Lineker, you'd have thought if Lineker was on that much money, £300,000 a pop or whatever, or even more, $500,000, you'd have thought that he'd have sued the referee. You'd have thought, that Gaza would have sued him for that, Maradona handball. Why, and that's not even government process. This is just like entertainment, leisure, football match. It's not like the fate of the country. It depends on it. You don't see these referees getting taken to court because they called a foul that wasn't a foul when it is filmed. So it's filmed. That's it. Tough. It's the whole thing that a ref's called it. He sends him off, but apparently, on the footage playback, he clear and obviously didn't. They look at it now, don't they? They look at the footage, they watch it, they watch the video even, and sometimes, even with a second opinion, it's still up to the ref. Once he's decided, that's it. They carry on with play, and then the game's over. They don't play it after. They don't have a rematch. That's it. Tough. This is the thing. Who are these people checking these officials who are officially appointed to make an official decision? If Biden and Harris were playing in a football match, going to do? What's Biden going to do? Shoot the ref or something? This is the thing. They seem to not be happy with the referee's decision, but that's in football, that's tough. That's it. But I wouldn't mind. But the president and the vice president of America, right? They're in charge of the country. So you'd have thought that officials who are officially competent enough, it's kind of who's the ref, right? And then you're not happy with his decision, then, even though you appointed him and chose him, then you're still going to get an opinion from a judge, when you're the one who appointed the referee in the first place or in charge of, what ref it is. It's so, ridiculous that it cannot be a legitimate process. It's got, and also there's got to be a legal case at the Supreme Court for discrimination in the electoral process. I mean, you'd have thought that they'd have been actually suing the White House. You'd have thought that they'd actually sue the federal government for having a discriminative election process. I mean, the Americans are suing each other for these things left, right, and centre. I cannot believe that, no one is actually fought to, hey, why don't we just sue, the Senate or sue Biden, sue the White House for having a discriminative election, whereby it's not a fair standardized procedure. It gives advantage to certain states over other states, but because the Democrats and Republicans pretty much dominate and own it, and it's always up between them two, they really don't give a care whether it's discriminative or not, because they're automatically getting their people in. They're automatically getting their people in. They propose their persons and they're automatically in it. So to them, it's not discriminative. But surely, for anyone else, if you look at it, there is evidence that there's a case to put forward from all independent candidates and all minority parties, that it is a discriminative election. To enter it is discriminative process across the states. And that's actually quite an important thing, particularly when you've got a female, American woman, Kamala Harris, who's meant to be the bastion of equal opportunity. Kamala Harris really is like meant to be holding the torch for equal opportunities, right? I am the equal opportunity. I am a woman, and I'm an African half-caste woman, so I am equal. I am Lady Equal Opportunity. I am, Miss World of Opportunity. I symbolise and embody equal opportunities of all people on the planet. Anyone can be president of the United States as long as you're a Republican or a Democrat. Anyone of any colour or sex or race can be president. Look at this. I am equal opportunity for all humans, man or woman, regardless of religion or race. I am Lady Opportunity, unless you're an independent candidate, and then you ain't got a fucking chance in hell. This is the thing. It surely is the irony of discrimination. It's a contradictory process, which basically means that how can the Democrats they don't care about equal opportunity, do they? They don't care about equal opportunities unless you're a Democrat, that's discriminative, because what they're doing is they're discriminating against people who aren't Democrats or Republicans. Yet she's going, we want to come together, united. We want to unite people, not divide people, Well, if you want to unite people and not divide them, why aren't the fucking rules the same in every county? We want to be united and we want to unite America. Unite them under the same ballot access rules in every county. Make a standardized, gold standard entry procedure, And we'll unite all of the corporate entities on the stock market. And then Nancy Pelosi won't have to bother juggling, stock market balls around. She can just put all the money on one. She can put all the chips on one company, and then Rand Paul will be happy because then he can fill the hole in the deficit and pay all the debts off for America when they tax them to oblivion, And then they'll all be happy, and then they'll all be united under one America,